I think there's really a lot of like monumental things going on within women's boxing today. Like even Michaela Mayer a few weeks ago was, I think, the first woman to headline a top ranked show in, I can't remember the exact amount of years, but it was, well over 10 years, well over 15, I want to say. So on one side of the coin, it's like, why is that? You see in the UFC, obviously there's women, headlining cards and creating big buzz. In boxing, it seems like there's more attention now on the women. It seems like it's a movement. It's trying to grow, but definitely something that's been missing.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I'm a big believer in the fact that if you put us out there for the world to see, they'll naturally become attracted, and they'll be on board, and we'll generate those fans and we'll generate those ticket sales.
Right.
But the more you keep putting us behind on the back end, where we're not on TV, where we're not fighting on the end of the cards that make the TV, where we're the fly fight, where we fight after the main event and the crowd leaves, they're not going to take us seriously. They're going to look at us like a sideshow. There's still a lot of stigmatism against the women in the ring that needs to change. Recently I put a tweet out there because I was watching the McCaskill versus Brackhouse fight.
Yeah.
And Sergio Mora I like him. He's a great commentator. He's great. But he's always making these comments. Every time the woman fights, he's always, they should be fighting 3 rounds. Why are they not fighting 3 rounds? Women don't get knockouts because they don't fight 3 rounds. We would see more knockouts. And that's not true, because there are knockouts in women. Like, Super Bad, her last fight on the zone, knocked that girl out in like the first freaking round. And she's not the only one. There's knockouts. My theory behind that, which I know a lot of people would believe in my theory because it's very true, is that women, because we're in this place where we're hungry for the exposure and the payday, we fight the best. So that's one of the reasons why you might not see as many knockouts, but you do see them. They do exist, but we're in harder fights. We're not fighting tomato cans. We're fighting girls that are at equal level. Even my last fight on Showtime, my debut on Showtime,
right,
I fought a champion. I could have fought somebody else. I didn't.
This fight, I mean, razor close decision, but I mean, talk about a fight that delivered in terms of the excitement and entertainment.
Exactly. Whether we were male or female, we got so much respect. We gained so many fans that night, Elin and I. We were the best fighter that night. And it was razor close. I lost by 1 point, but I do it all over again because it was an amazing show. We did something for women's boxing. We proved that we should be paid more. We proved that we're entertaining. We proved that we have talent and skill, and we could fight. So, so going back to Sergio Morris making those comments, he also doesn't understand that there's been many studies done, and the WBC backs this very much. There's been studies on women that we are more prone to head injury. We're more prone to concussions. We're more prone to those things. So that's one of the reasons why I believe that the boxing does not have us fight 3-minute rounds. And going back to that knockout stuff. So also we just, even whether we fight 3 minutes or we don't, we fight 2, I still believe we deserve to be paid the same. And then there's a lot of controversy on what does paid the same mean. Well, like for instance, Heather Hardy, there was an article about Heather Hardy. She fought for a title fight, I think she fought for, and she went in to get her check after she was done. And there was another guy there that fought, and he didn't fight for a title. He didn't even fight 10 rounds. And he made such a huge amount of money. And he wasn't like a huge star. He might have been like a guy coming up in the game. But why is this guy getting, almost $200,000? I think it was 175 or 100 grand. It was something like that, for being, a 6 or an 8 round fight.
Right.
But Heather Hardy fighting for a world title is maybe making 10 grand. You know, don't quote me on the numbers, but they're in
Right.
those ballparks. You know, even for Elin and I, for you know, making the TV, fighting the fight we fought, being, you know, a world title fight, we didn't make the money we should have made. And people argue it, well, you don't have the viewers, you don't have the people tuning in to see you. Well, that goes back to what I said earlier, is that you know, these networks and these promoters, they need to do what they do for MMA, how they put women on constantly, they put women on in the forefront, because they're successful. You know, I know MMA is a whole nother sport, it really is, even probably the way they pay them. But they do supposedly pay their athletes better than they pay boxing, especially females. I think they're paid equally. I'm not 100% sure, but what I've heard is that they're treated really well, which is why I think a lot of female fighters, you know, transition into that sport and do it both. But it's something that it needs to change. There's a lot of ignorance out there. There's a lot. Like when I put that tweet out there, I said, I'm not saying, you know, pay us the same for nothing, but listen, if women are going to fight 3-minute rounds, you definitely better be paying us the same, because I noticed that there's always comments about women fighting 3-minute rounds. You want us to fight as much as the men. That's fine with me. I'll fight 3-minute rounds and I'll fight 12 rounds. We train like that anyway. But why don't you mention women being paid? Everybody knows we're underpaid. Everybody knows this. So that was my deal with that tweet on Twitter. It was like, why do they never mention about women being paid the same, but you keep talking about us fighting the same? Like, don't even give us a fight until you put on the contract, we're paying you the same and we're expecting you to fight the same amount of time. Fine, we'll all do it without a doubt. 1, 2, 3.